And now, weighing in out of the blue corner, Josh the Punk Thompson. 100%. And on the other mic, he weighs in from the red corner, Big John McCarthy.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we are back for, I gotta say, it's the last edition of the Weighing In podcast that is going to feature live fights for the year of 2020. It was the last show for the UFC where we had Steven Wonderboy Thompson taking on Geoff Neal. Some good fights that were put on display. Jose Aldo looking good again, and Rob Font being on fire. He just lit up Marlon Moraes. There was also a couple of really cool things that happened in there, but as we all know, we got to talk about this with the man, the myth, the legend, the real punk, Josh Thompson. What is up, dude?
The crowd goes crazy. The crowd goes crazy.
I don't know. Yeah, they're going crazy. They're like, I got to listen to him again.
They're like, man, can we just have John talk and not Josh? Oh, man. What'd you think? What'd you think of the card?
You know, actually, it was a good card. You know, it didn't live up to last week's, but you can't do that. No. Come on, let's be honest. Those shows come about, and it's like, man, not every fight was good, and this had some good ones. It had some that were, they're okay, but overall, it was a good card, good finish. It was a good fight by Wonderboy. He looked great. His movement was outstanding. You could see where Geoff Neal was having problems throughout a lot of the fight, but I was still a little bit. I'm thinking, you know, and I know Ray Thompson really well. He's crazy good kickboxer, you know, the dad of Wonderboy, and he's always in his corner. But, you know, Geoff Neal's hands were coming so high that he's, you know, the body, go to the body, finish every sequence to the body, you know, and at times he would, but it wasn't a consistent output. And it was like, man, he's giving that to you. When you got someone putting their hands that high, got to attack that body because it's going to make him, the hands have to come down. You can't take it. I don't care who you are. So It was the one thing I was looking at going, man, that is so open. Get it. But
yeah, it's weird though that sometimes like fighters, they don't see like that right in front of them. And that's one of the biggest things. Like fighters have to learn how to adapt. Like not all fighters can adapt in the middle of the fight. Steven Thompson's been doing it for a long time. He should have been able to make that adjustment throughout the fight. Never did. And I mean, I don't know if it would have led to anything else, but you've got to make those adjustments as you go, because like we've talked about before, whether it's wrestling, whether it's kickboxing, whether it's the body shots, whether it's whatever it is, you've got to mix it up throughout because it opens up other areas. And he never did that. And then I think that's kind of why the fight kind of went the way it would.
Yeah, I think that he felt like, you know, he was faster than Neal as far as, you know, getting off, and he just looked good. His movement was good and he was doing well. But it's one of those, if you go back to the Aldo, you know, Chito Vera fight, look, the body shots in the first round, that was a difference maker, man. That was because Chito was doing good in the first part of that round, and the body shots by Aldo brought it back. And thank God that Aldo started kicking again. I was like, there it is. That's what we've been talking about. It's back. What's crazy
is with the calf kicks now these days, I don't understand with the power of his kicks, how he hasn't made that adjustment and started bringing them back way earlier. I mean, just how the calf kick is. He was dropping guys or hurting guys with kicking the thigh. I mean, if he started throwing the calf kicks in there, I mean, he'd be a whole different fighter again.
Which only makes it an easier kick to land because there's less chance of somebody catching it, putting you on your back, or any of those things. So there's less risk with the calf kick over the thigh kick.
Agree. I felt kind of bad watching Chito. It wasn't happening for him as the fight went on. And then you just kind of realize you're like, he's so close to getting to that next level. But then Jose Aldo is that guy that
he's that next level.
He's that next level, but he's almost like that. We were talking about like the ultimate gatekeeper, like Yoel Romero. He'll be so hard for those younger guys to beat. Just too much experience. Just he still has power. He's still fast. All those things. Like you put Chito in there, you want to see the young guy get up, to the next level. But is he gonna get through him? And just one of those fights. Nah, It's in the same thing. It's when you look at Yoel's the same thing. You have guys that fight Yoel. It's not going to happen. They're going to have a hard time building new stars if they keep having them fight guys like Jose or Yoel or whoever else. So, but it was good to see Jose get the win.
It was. And I thought, God damn, he looked fucking rock solid as far as, man, there wasn't an ounce of fat on that guy.
Do you remember there was like a couple years where he was just so dominant at 145. People were talking about him going to 55. And now he's fighting at 35.
Yeah.
It's just so crazy to me that people, we were for the longest, he should stop fighting it until he lost to Conor. Everyone was like, he should go to 55, because he was so dominant at 45. And now he's down at 35. And he like you say, he looks just ripped and shredded. I'm like, it's too much work.
But see, and everything comes back to, hey, you got to be the professional, your diet and everything like that. And he talked about it that, hey, he was very, he ate anything he wanted. He never took care of his diet and stuff like that. Because I can remember, back at UFC 129, he fought Mark Hominick and he was dying making weight. And that's at 145.
Yeah.
And then when he would balloon back up, he was going up into the high 160s, low 170s. Is what he was fighting at. So he was basically fighting at featherweight at like the weight that you were fighting at lightweight.
That's crazy.
But it took its toll as far as, not being disciplined beforehand and having to drop a ton of weight. Took its toll on, his body and his ability to perform, because he used to like, tail off at the end of fights a lot. The whole thing was you got to get him into the later rounds. There's where you have the chance. Can't get him in the later rounds. He's just a monster, but he looks great at 135. He doesn't get tired.
Yeah.
He just looks fantastic, which is shocking to me. And it puts, I'm always the guy saying, hey, don't go down in weight. It's bad for you. But if you do it, in a way where you're changing your diet and you're losing, some fat off of your body before, and you're not having that killer cut, okay, you're doing it the right way.
Yeah, I think it really just comes down to you just got to take care of yourself and how you do it. It's got to be a gradual thing getting down. I just can't imagine, because I had fought Kid Yamamoto at 143 in Hawaii, and it was the worst. I took the fight on 2 weeks' notice. I weighed 168, 169 when I started cutting weight. It was horrible. I can't imagine doing that every damn fight.
Yeah, but that's a situation where you look and you go, I need to take that fight. And that you haven't, been preparing for it for that. You didn't have the 6 to 8 weeks. You got 2 weeks. So you don't have a camp. You have a weight cutting session.
No, I understand that.
It starts at that point.
I understand that, but I can't imagine having to lose that amount of weight every fight. Think about all the fights that he fought at 145. And like you were saying, he wasn't on a diet plan or nutrition plan or whatever it was. He just ate whatever he wanted. He had to lose that weight every single time. To make 45.
I remember when it was in Brazil, when Max Holloway and Aldo fought for the featherweight title. Holloway had won the interim title, and when Conor had dropped the featherweight title, Aldo had won it. He beat Frankie Edgar at UFC 200, so he had the real title. And they did a weigh-in, did the weigh-ins. They both make the 145 limit, and they weighed them when they came in. Now, I can't say that exactly, what they were wearing or anything like that, but they come in that night. Aldo weighed in at 169 and a half pounds. Jesus. Max Holloway weighed in at 178.
Oh my God.
178.
Crazy to me.
Is that nuts?
That's crazy to me.
They're telling me those numbers. And the other one that was fucking crazy in that one was Paulo Costa. He weighed in at 185 for his fight. He was like 228.
Yeah.
Crazy.
It's insane to me. It's like, I don't understand. I remember several times Gleason Tebow had to be like walked to the weigh-ins. He had to hold his corner's arm, and they were walking him to the weigh-ins. One of the times was in LA. I was watching him, and then he was at ATT, I believe. And ATT, like some of the guys from there were walking him to the weigh-ins, and he would have to stop every like 20 steps. And then they'd walk him the rest of the way.
Try to uncramp.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it. I was like, this is insane. I can't believe you guys are doing this to yourself.
Well, Yoel Romero's had that same situation.
Really?
He did that when he tried to fight Whitaker the second time, and he did not make weight.
Oh, for the title, huh?
Yeah, he was cramping. He had a great fight. A lot of people thought he won it, but he was cramping and couldn't make the weight. So
I have a question. Whitaker had brought up something after that fight, and then when Luke had fought Yoel, also he had said the same thing. He said, Whitaker had told him, he's like, every time I kicked him, it felt like I was kicking iron. And Luke said, Luke said the same exact thing. He's like, it didn't matter if I kicked his thigh, if I kicked him in the stomach. He's like, it hurt me. He's like, I don't know what it was. He's like, everyone just didn't know what it was. But then Whitaker said the second time he fought him, it didn't feel the same. So I don't know. I don't know if there's like supplements or different types of things that you can. I don't even know. I'm just simply saying, like, is there anything that you can take that makes it feel? I just because it's one thing to have one fighter say it. But there's been two, and then sometimes, there's a couple people that have talked about training with him, and and it just hurt to kick. Like his body just felt like steel every time you touched him.
Oh well, but there are those guys out there that Dan Henderson's one.
Yeah,
if you're screwing around with Dan and you hit him, it's like, the fuck are you made out of? It's just he's got a different density to his body than these next 10 guys.
Yeah.
And I think Yoel's that guy.
Good old leather hands, Dan Henderson. You shake his hand, it's just like it's all scratchy on the inside. Fingers are all scratchy.
It's like he's walking around on his palms.
Exactly. He's got got Flintstone fingers.
Got Flintstone feet too.
Yeah, I've known Dan for a long time. I'd say like 98, I think is when we met. 97, 98, something like that.
Matt Hughes was like that.
Yeah.
You grab a hold of him and it's like, the fuck are you made out of?
Yeah, he grabbed me in Hawaii one time. We were out there doing the UFC gym opening, and it was like one of the first times I really hung out with him. And oh my God. I was like, you're the strongest person that's ever touched me. I was like, what the fuck? No, I remember there was a story with Dan Henderson. He came to AKA, stayed at my place, and he trained a little bit there. And when he was there training, he was sparring with John Fitch, with I think Brian Ebersol, a couple other guys. I think he sparred with Trevor. He fucked everybody up. Just fucking fucked them up. I felt so bad for all of them. they were like they thought he was like trying to knock him out. I was like, no, he's going like really light. He bring him on. Next guy. Who's next? I was like, oh no. Yeah, I felt so bad for them. He fucked John up, Fitch. He just put it on him. John couldn't get him down. John was like, I think after like he got hit a couple times, John just was like, okay, this is it. I'm just trying to stay close to you so I don't get destroyed. Yeah, it was vicious. It was. I gotta let John tell the story because I think there was at one point he almost got dropped. Like he got hit and John got wobbled a little bit, went back into the corner, and Dan hit him a couple more times, and John kind of like sat into the corner. Like we used to spar in a ring, not in a cage back then. Yep. John kind of like sat between the ropes. I was like, oh shit, he probably almost got knocked out.
I need a third leg.
Yeah.
That's it. I need this balance point.
What did you think of Rob Font, Marlon Moraes?
Damn, I thought he looked great. Rob Font looked good, Marlon came out but you could see just the jab. The jab snapped Marlon's head back, and you could see Marlon was like, damn, that was hard. And everything that Rob hit him with, you could see Marlon being affected by it. But, we had talked about this, and sometimes you don't know, because I'll give you the exact opposite was Aldo. I was concerned about Aldo going into that fight. All right, what are we going to see based upon, his last fight and how many shots he took, especially in the 5th round of that fight with Peter Yan? Is he going to be, back to being the guy that we expect, or is he going to be lesser? And that was the real question with Marlon Moraes is, he didn't have a long, hard fight with Corey Sandhagen, but he took a lot of big shots.
Yeah.
And no matter what, the spinning wheel kick was it a wheel kick that hit him or a spinning reverse? I can't remember, but it was the heel that went off of his noggin and put him down. And, and he complained about Mark Goddard in that fight. Oh, he stopped it early. And Mark had talked to me. I said, Mark, you didn't stop. I said, he was done. I said, he got hurt here. Take a look at his reaction here. It was fine. And so who was his referee in this one? And then you actually have Dan Cormier as one of the announcers saying, he let it go too long. Well, that's what you have when you have a guy that says, hey, you stopped my fight too early, because that's exactly what happened in the back just before this fight. And Mark says, all right, I'll let you go as far as I can let you go. And he did. And you saw he probably did take, a couple too many shots, but that's just the way it's going to be, because you have to satisfy that guy too. And you look and you go, you're taking too many shots. And it was just that you could see every shot that Rob hit him with, it affected him. They all didn't fucking stun him, but you could see he was like, oh, that hurt.
Yeah.
And this is what I say, there comes a time for everyone. I don't care who you are. You walk into a ring or cage to spar or anything, and you start getting hit, and all of a sudden it's not the same. All of a sudden it's no longer fun, and it freaking hurts. And every shot you take, you go, God damn, that hurt.
Yeah.
And that's all you start thinking about. And it seemed that was kind of what I was looking at. And I'm not saying, that's what was going through Marlon's mind, but that's what I was picturing, as he was fighting Font. So
I'm going to go back to what we talked about last week is in the midweek show is he moved to American Top Team and he's had 2 losses. And is it the same? Is it the same training? Why'd you move there? Did you move there for the quality of life? Right now, I'm like a lot of people are talking about moving out of states that, the quality of life is just not there. So they're moving to other states that have a better quality of life. Problem is the training and the trainers that you were with before you were having success with, and those ones aren't there anymore. And now you're dealing with a new team, and don't get me wrong, like ATT has a phenomenal, they're phenomenal.
This has nothing to do with the quality of ATT's training, but it's just different the way you respond to their training right now compared to what you had in the past. And it's hard when you go to a new camp, like, oh, it's sure you're at a prestigious camp, you're at American Top Team. I get it, but it's also not the same, maybe the same type of one-on-one personal connection you had with Mark Henry, with whether it was Frankie Edgar, whether it was anybody else that was running that, Almeida and those guys. Like it's not the one-on-one connection in that small town feel of New Jersey, right? You would have that more of that one-on-one connection. Moving to Florida, it's a completely different lifestyle. You go from freezing your ass off in the winter to like it's 80 degrees in the winter there in Florida. That's a good reason to go down to Florida.
It is. But it's, the lifestyle of everything has changed. Yeah. And so you sometimes, I always look at it as, is it as serious now? When you make that life change, is your training as serious? Are you taking it as serious? It's not that your training is not good. Are you taking it as serious? Are you really processing the one-on-one time you have with your coach, like you were with Mark Henry or with anybody else, that like with me and Javier or whatever it was? It was like, I have that one-on-one time with my coach. Is he getting that at ATT? Has he developed a relationship to have that at American Top Team? Because you look at it also too with who's his Barboza. He's down there. Barboza's looked good at 145. Yeah. I thought the drop to 45 and his performances, I think have got like, he's another Jose Aldo type thing. I feel like he's gotten better at 145 than he was at 55, which I thought was weird because he seemed so big for me at 55, with all that muscle. I was like, how in the hell is this guy going to make 45? And he made it. Yep. With Marlon, I don't know. Maybe it's, I think a little bit of is that time frame of with a new camp, you need time to adjust. And I don't know if it's affecting his game or what's going on with, if it's Florida, if it's American Top Team, but he hasn't quite made that adjustment yet of filling into that spot.
Yeah, it's I don't know. He's gonna have to figure out what's gonna work for him in this situation, but he needs to regroup. We know he's a good fighter. Yeah, he's a stud. And I really did like what I saw as far as you could see there was some game planning going on as far as, he went in there and he got the takedown. Yeah. He didn't go in there just to be the kickboxer and to try to light, Font up. He went in there to control him and stuff. Font was, good and relaxed, getting back to his feet and everything. But you could tell that there was some thought process and, hey, we need to become more versatile, have a varied attack that's going to make this guy have to be, cautious of things. But I don't care how cautious someone has to be when they're touching you and everything that they're touching you with is hurting. It just makes the fight difficult for you.
Yeah. No, I agree. So the fight that I was most happy for to watch is Greg Hardy lose. I was excited for that. I was excited for that after we had talked last week and you were like, I don't know, Tibur's slow. And I was like, yeah, so, but I was actually,
well, it was just like we said, that Ben Rothwell fight, let's be honest. Tibur lost the first round and then he just keeps marching on and he put the fight exactly where he knew he wanted to put it on the ground. And the one thing that he did in this is he showed that Greg Hardy is one-dimensional right now. He's a strong guy. He's fast. He's athletic. He's got power in his hands. He's just lost on the ground. Now, that doesn't mean he doesn't know anything, but he doesn't know anything to be fighting the guys that he's fighting in the UFC right now. He doesn't have the skill set to be on the ground with a guy that knows what he's doing, knows where to put his body, so he can't just muscle his way out of it. And look, he's going to have to, he's got the guys to do it with, if he's still working with the guys at ATT, he's got a lot of bodies and they can teach him, but it's going to take time, man. Learning how to wrestle, learning how to be good on the ground, how to get yourself out, how to, where to put your hands at times. Cause he wasn't looking for the underhooks. It wasn't there. The thought process wasn't in there. It was more of, oh my God, I'm here. And now there's almost like a panic setting in. So he tried to push off the one time to muscle out, and you go, that ain't gonna work.
And it gets worse as you get tired.
Oh yeah.
And that's to me, I feel like he mentally will break when he starts to get a little bit tired. And when you're starting to get tired, your brain doesn't process as well. And so like, even if you did know the techniques, they don't come out. And you're just like, you're doing things to try to just use your muscle and explosion to get out of there. And it's not there. You've got to use the technique to get out of there, especially at like this higher level. So, I mean, I wanted to see Tibur get through him. I'm not a Greg Hardy fan, and I'm not shy to say that, but it's just, I'm not a Greg Hardy fan.
The one thing that it does show, and nothing about Greg Hardy in a bad way. I like, most people and guys screw up, and I don't like how he screwed up, but I always look at trying to, okay, what have you done to change yourself and to be a better person? And I look at a guy that unbelievable athlete, but it shows you can be an unbelievable athlete. You can have all of that behind you and you can be a tough guy, but man, it takes something. You can go in and you can beat average guys. You can't start beating the guys that, they're not only tough, they're technically skilled. And Tibur is technically skilled. He's got a decent stand-up game where he can stay with most guys, but when he gets the fight to the ground, he opens up and he does damage. And as a heavyweight, ground and pound is a great submission technique. It just is. You've got a lot of weight, and guys do. They tend to all that weight on top of them tends to burn energy on, as far as them and stuff like that. And you're right about, Hardy. I think he's got a mental thing about getting tired. And it's that whole asthma thing. And if you've had asthma and you can't breathe, it starts to, it's just sitting there in the back of your mind. And as soon as it starts to happen, the wheels start fucking coming off the cart. So it's something he's going to have to get through.
What do you think of Pettis?
Yeah. Well, let's talk about the first round. Wasn't very good. Now, like, anything can happen. And he made a mistake and Morano gets to his back. But the one thing that I loved out of it, he was relaxed. He was calm. He didn't, all of a sudden start doing dumb things to say, I've got to get myself out. He knows he's got to get himself out, but let me do this in a smart way. If I end up losing the round, I end up losing the round. He brought the round, the round was going towards him losing 10-8, and then he gets himself out of it and he brings it back to where, he loses the round, but it was a 10-9. Now let's come back. And in the second and third round, he looked great.
Yeah. Just the experience came through. For me, I feel like he just was, like you said, he was able just to figure his way out, just stayed calm, composed, but then the experience definitely showed through. The other thing as well is I think people, because he's known for being a kickboxer, because of all the things he's done, he just had the 10-year anniversary of the kick off the cage or something like that.
Yeah.
They've been marketing it for the last 2-3 weeks. I mean, smart on their part. He just people will continue to look at those things that he's done in his past and how successful.
It's a highlight reel.
He's a highlight reel, yes, but he's a good grappler. He's a
Yes,
really
he
good
is.
grappler. You know, and we've seen it with the other guys out of his camp as well. I mean, Sergio Pettis is also really good, but Emmanuel Sanchez is phenomenal off of his back as well. These guys are good on the ground. They're not just kickboxers, you know, and maybe when they first came in they were, but they're not anymore. These guys are good. And I've trained and I've grappled with Pettis a little bit in Hawaii, same time I was with Matt Hughes and those guys. And he's really good from the guard position. And I've said this several times. Yeah.
That's the biggest thing is you can see he's comfortable. If he's on his back and you're in his guard, he's okay. He has no worry. You have got to pass to half guard. Now you start to give him some problems.
Yep.
Now he's not comfortable. Now his submission game goes, everyone's submissions go down because there's less for you to be, available to you, but his goes down considerably. He doesn't have, you get some guys, they love having someone in their half guard. They are dangerous there. He's not that guy, but I will tell you, just his movement last night in the stand-up, especially the second, third round, and he controlled the range and the distance, and he sucked Alex Moreno into bad positions. He set little tiny traps of off angling him, and Moreno did the number one mistake. He was following him. And you go, you can't follow him, son. You have got to step off and cut that angle on him. But, I look overall, I think that was the last fight on his contract. It'll be, interesting. I'm sure he's going to go back to the UFC, but you never know. And it's a good thing that he should, as you have always told people, maybe you should go see what your value is out there, because there's a lot of people that, want to see Pettis fight. He's got value in his name, in the way that he fights, because he does fight. Every fight that he puts on, it's an entertaining fight.
The conversation is to be had, though. If you go to another promotion, like, what weight do you fight at, 55 or 70? If he goes to Bellator and he fights at 70,
no,
I don't think it's good for him.
But he could go. He could go to 55.
Yeah, he could, for sure.
He's got old opponent. He's got Benson Henderson, who he's beaten twice.
Yeah,
in the past. So, there's other guys there, but it'll be interesting to see what he does.
Let me ask you this: when we're talking about these guys, there's no doubt that Jose Aldo is a Hall of Famer. When you're talking in terms of, he's a Hall of Famer, like first ballot Hall of Famer.
Oh,
do you put Pettis in that category?
If you're looking at his career, yes. As a young fighter, he won the WEC title. Mm-hmm. He comes into the UFC, he loses, to Clay Guida. You look and you go, anybody can lose to Clay Guida, because he's got a specific style, and if you don't do things right and you can't keep him off you, he's a nightmare in a fight. Once you figure him out and what you need to do, the fight becomes easier for you. But until that time, he's a rough sumbitch. So he loses that fight, understandable. Comes back, he knocks out Joe Lozon, and he wins the title basically, 4 or 5 fights into his UFC career. And he's fought the best guys out there.
Yeah. He
really has. Has he lost some? Yeah, he's lost some, but he's definitely a Hall of Fame fighter, in my opinion.
I agree. Just, you have to start, like, where does the Hall of Fame talk start and where does it end, and that kind of thing. He's kind of on that cusp of, yes, he is, and no, he's not. It's that, where Jose Aldo is for sure, 100%. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, that's easy. You're right. But this is the same thing. People will sit there and talk about, championships are one thing that gets you to that level. Now you can be a guy that hasn't won championships. You can be a Donald Cerrone.
Yeah.
Donald's never won the championship. Is he a Hall of Fame fighter? Fuck yes. Yep. Has to be.
Okay.
You go by the number of fights, how many times, who he's fought. It is the entire, look at that career and the foundation that that it was based upon and who he's fought. I think Donald Cerrone is a Hall of Fame fighter.
Yeah. Even
though he's never won a championship.
That's where it gets kind of shady. I'm a Donald Cerrone fan. It's tough. It just gets it gets a little like, here's the thing. Even now, when he's not even, I don't even know if he's ranked in the top 10 in either weight class. But
No,
he's still one of those guys that you could put in there against any of the top 10s.
Yeah.
And
well, I don't know right now.
Yeah, I mean, you would still you'd be able to kind of mix him. Anyways, but for how long has he been doing it? 15 years?
Yeah.
15 years. You know, and like him probably just being finally out of the top 10 after all those years. I mean, that's why I would probably put him in. But
See?
But the conversation is it because he did it for so long, for such a long period of time, he was always ranked. I always look at guys, like you said, in the length of their career. But then where were they the length of their career? Were they out of the top 10 for the majority of their career? Were they in the top 10? Or were they fighting
and
top 5
who were they
guys?
fighting?
Who were they fighting, the top 5 guys? But it's a hazy area, though, because like he never won the title. And it seemed like also, too, how many times did he fight for the title? Twice? WC twice and then one time for the UFC?
Yeah.
I think so.
I believe so.
Yes, 3 times. But he had more opportunities to fight for the title. Also, he always lost the fight right before to get to the title shot. It was like the pressure. I don't want to say the pressure got to him. It was the fight. But like if he won that fight, he got to the next. He got the next shot.
Yeah, he was getting. You knew where he was going if he got the win, and it never seemed to happen.
Yeah.
But I mean, you could say that. All right, here I'll give you a name. Tell me what you think. Nate Diaz. See? Because you look at popularity-wise, the people he's fought-wise, the performances that he's put on-wise, you go, yeah, I could see it. And then you could look and go, yeah, I can't. I don't see it. I don't see him making that next step. No championship there where I can look at his brother Nick and I can put him there. I really can. It's and it's just opinion, based. I could talk it up either way. I could talk it to say yes, and I could talk it to say no. But it is hard when it comes to certain guys because of what they've done throughout their career.
I can't put either guy there.
See, okay,
Nick or Nate. I can't.
Right.
Which is crazy because you want to know why? I just a second ago said I could put Cerrone there, and Nate beat Cerrone.
Mm-hmm.
He beat him handily. It's just like I don't know. We get
and
into
Nick has had a world title.
Not only that, but Nick's beat he beat Frank Shamrock. I mean, he's beaten legends. Don't get me wrong.
Yes.
Frank wasn't at the peak of his career at the time, but it was like he's beaten top guys. He's risen to the occasion of fighting the top guys. Yeah, I could see. I agree with you more. I could see more leaning towards Nick getting in versus Nate.
Yeah,
but I also I don't want to let the popularity skew my thought of them getting in, and that's the problem because they are very popular. They're so. And when I look at Nate's handily beat Cerrone, but Cerrone to me is, I think a lot of it too has to do with the activity of Donald. Donald's so busy, fights all the time, he's fought tons of fights. Nate is also busy, he's fought, but he actually takes like sabbaticals like his brother. Been gone for, a year, gone for 2 years. Nick's been gone for 3 years now? I mean,
more than that.
Longer, yeah. So
4 years.
And having these conversations is like, I like Nick and Nate, but they're not very active. And so when you're not as active, it's like, sure, you're a fan favorite, but
it's another thing in the puzzle. Yeah.
Damn, this is hard. I'm glad I'm on.
Glad you're not on those committees.
On those committees that
I know.
What did you think
That's a rough one.
What did you think of Duran Wynn's performance?
Yeah. It's I like Duran. He's a good guy and stuff, but he's tough. He's a tough dude in the stand-up. He'll take shots. He'll give shots. He was getting hurt somewhat by I don't want to say that. I normally say Arroyo, as far as his last name. But what Duran gets tired, and as soon as Duran gets tired, I think I texted you, man. It takes more energy to get the takedown than it does to be busy when you're on the ground with the guy. Yeah. Why are you just laying there? Because he had a good chance of losing that fight based upon if Arroyo had just been a little busier underneath. Now, he was tired too, but just start throwing elbows and stuff because Duran is not fighting. He's wrestling.
Yeah. And
he's controlling. And that control is the last thing they're going to be giving credit for. So he was very close to losing that fight. And you look and you go, man, you've got to change your approach. You got to change what you're doing. He's got the wrestling to take just about anyone down, and he's so damn compact. that, when he's fighting someone like, Ahoyo, who's 6'3", he doesn't have to change levels much to get where he needs to get.
No.
And he's got such good technique. He can get a ton of guys down. But right now, there's not the connection between being the wrestler and being the fighter. He's more wrestler than he is fighter.
Yeah.
And this is the fight game. It's not the wrestling game. And he's got to bring those two things closer together. This
is what I feel. I feel like with DC, right? He never really learned the jiu-jitsu game.
Doesn't have to.
Because his wrestling was so good.
Yep.
Like he didn't have to worry about jiu-jitsu guys getting him to the ground. The thing though is that some of these fights, like with DC could have got guys out of there a lot sooner had he worked on his jiu-jitsu a little bit. Because he got the takedown, handled them, and could have got submissions and got him out of there. I feel like Duran's kind of in that same spot. If you go back and take a look at Romero Cotton, like with his last fight, got the takedown, guy turned his back, right to the neck, choke, got him out of there. We don't get paid by the minute, man.
Well, and it's also this, when you look at, we'll talk about Romero Cotton's fight. Look at the choke that he got. This was not what we would say, technically, was it done right? No, it's not. It was not pretty. It was violent and strong, and that's sometimes all you need. And that's the same thing as I'll give DC. DC had submission victories. He had a submission against Anthony Rumble. He choked him. Was it a pretty choke? No, he's not that guy that's going to slip in a rear naked choke like some guy that's a Damian Maia, a BJ Penn. He's not going to slip it in that way. He doesn't have to. And this, when we talk about saying, he doesn't have a real submission game, you can be the guy like DC or Deron Wynn, who is very much like DC.
Yeah.
You can have all that great wrestling, and when you get the fight to the ground, your thing is to damage. I'm not here to submit. Now, I can submit you with, a rudimentary game of submission skills, but they're limited. They're going to be an arm triangle. It may be, an Americana. It may be a Kimura. It may be a rear naked choke. There's my 4.
Yeah.
That's all I have. But you give me one of those things, I'll get it if it's an easy get. But my whole thing is to take you down and to damage you to the point where you can't even defend against any of those things. That referee wants to go, I can't let you take any more damage. Yeah. That's a submission skill. I mean, it's not a submission, but yes, it's a submission skill. So that's what, Wynn needs to do. Is he needs to get himself into that mindset of when the fight hits the ground, stop wrestling.
Yeah.
And it's even if you get to the point where you feel the guy's, trying to get up, it's okay. Open it up and hurt him while he's getting up, and then work to take him down again. That's the game plan that's going to work for his body type.
There's guys that were phenomenal wrestlers, Mike Van Arsdale, but guess what? When it hit the ground, he just kept trying to wrestle, and it was easy for guys to get up, and he had to keep taking them down, and it made you more tired. I feel like Duran's in that spot right now where they're wrestling so much that they just don't know how to relax they know how to relax when they're wrestling, but there's
because they're not getting hit.
They're not getting hit, yeah. But there's still, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work to keep taking someone down. Mike Van Arsdale was 40-something years old, looked like fucking Greek god, but he had no gas tank. Would gas out. He was so tired all the time. Like he would try to get us to throw the towel in after the first round. No, I ain't going back out there, Bob Cook. You ain't fucking making me going back out there. He's like, Bob, get the fuck back out there. Literally, take the stool away from him and shove him back out there. But with Duran, being busier and active, not always wrestling is the key, I think, to making sure that you just learn how to be patient on top. Sit him to his hip, punch a little bit. That makes them not want to get back up. You start striking, they start defending, they're not posting on their hands to go to get back up. When you're wrestling all the time, guys they're trying to they're not worried about getting hit. So they're just constantly just posting their hands, cage walking, they're working their way back up, and you got to take them back down. If you start striking them, they start covering, and then they're easier to hold down. And so, to touch on what you were talking about, that's exactly what he needs to work on. I don't know why or what's going on, but there's, like you said, there's a disconnect between the wrestling in the ground and pound and then the wrestling and the striking. There's the way he sets up his shots also. He shoots from so far away because he's such a good wrestler. He can get it. You know, and he has to. I think he had to shoot last night from being far away because his opponent was so long. I mean, you saw when I saw them weigh in. I was baffled. I'm like, how is this Duran?
How is this the same weight class? And I told you it was the catch weight, 195.
Jeez.
You know,
he's got to get to 85.
Oh my God.
And even to 85,
then he's so, just structure and frame wise, he's so much smaller than most guys in that weight class.
He's got to get to 70 in my personal opinion. He's no bigger than Sean Shirk.
It's diet.
He's no bigger than Sean Shirk was. And I'm thinking to myself, you got to get down, man. Like he's put in some work. He's got his weight down a little bit, and he looked good when I saw him like 2 weeks ago. I saw him at a baby shower and stuff. He looks physically looks good. He said he'd been doing running. He never really ran before. I know a lot of wrestlers that just never ran. I was like, how'd you guys get? I was like, that's so weird. Like Fitch never ran. Fitch never ran. He still to this day, I never can run. He's like, I can't. My ankles, my knees. He's like, I just can't do it. I'm like, I don't know where my career would be if I didn't run. There's just no way. I had to run. I couldn't sit on a machine or do cardio any other way. It's horrible. What else? I think, should we talk about the Tony Ferguson thing?
Yeah, well, he was talking, I guess, to both of us, but he was talking to you in the one part. So yeah, go ahead.
I don't have anything to say. That's the thing. Like,
I love Tony. Look,
that's the thing. I like Tony.
I love Tony. My biggest problem is this, and this is not anything against Tony, but when he's saying that, Oliveira broke after the first round, it's like maybe he felt something in that Oliveira went for that arm bar and thought he had it and was upset. We'll say that, it was the end of the round and he didn't get the submission when he thought he was getting the submission when the referee comes in. I've had those situations where a fighter thinks you're stopping the fight and then you got to tell him, nope, that's the end of the round. And you can see this like, but I don't think that's breaking. That's not breaking. There was no break in Charles Oliveira, and he proved that by what he did in the next 2 rounds. Yeah. That's it.
Yeah, I don't have anything really to say. I think people are expecting me to like go hard in the paint on him, but I have nothing to say. Realistically, like Tony, when Tony beat me, I was exactly where you are now. You lost 2 fights. I fought you. I had lost 2 fights that I felt like I didn't deserve to lose. And you lost those fights. He lost to Justin Gaethje, hands down lost to Justin Gaethje. And then he lost to Charles Oliveira. I have nothing like negative to say in terms of there's no doubt you're a good fighter. But you're at 37 years old, 36 years old, something 36 or 37. You're at the same place that I was when I fought you. And I see the differences in you. Maybe you don't see them. I mean, as a fighter, I see them in him. I saw it after the Justin fight. I saw it during the Justin fight. I saw it now in this fight. You're not the same fighter anymore. And it's sad to say, but it comes to grips. You have to the reality of it is that you won't be champion. And it's sad. It's sad to say that, because I know I've been there. I was there.
He's been champion. I got to give him, he's been champion. That interim title.
I agree.
But I'm
championship. What I meant was he's not getting back
again.
There. Yeah, he's not getting back there.
All
it's not going to happen. And that's the point. The point was when I fought Benson, I was this close to getting that title shot. I was already offered the title shot. It didn't happen. But the reality was after I lost to Bobby Green, it was, okay, it's done. There's no way I'm going to be champion. Like we figured this out. I figured it out. I knew mentally it wasn't there. And when you said earlier about like when you, as you get older, you don't like being hit. It's something that just happens. Like you don't like the feel anymore. Honestly, I've said this before. I want to say it was before my Patricky fight. I literally was in the back. We were in the loading area, and Patricky had walked out, and I was going to walk out next. And it was just, I got that vibe in the back I had never had before, almost like anxiety. And it was like, I can't believe I'm doing this. I normally was always the vibe and the feel of, I can't wait to go. I was like, hit my gloves. I was always ready to go, shaking my arms out. I was somebody in the back that fucking just loved the feeling and the vibe of fighting. I loved it. That fight was a reality check for me in terms of I was in the back and getting ready to watch him walk out. And I was like, I started getting like nervous and in anxiety. And I never had that feeling before. And that's when I realized, and I had already known in training that I didn't like getting hit. I wasn't liking it anymore. It was like, you hit me. And I was like, oh, well, that hurt a lot more than it should have. And it just, that made it a lot easier for me just not to want to fight anymore. Tony, to me, I feel like is in that area now where he's not seeing the things come. He's getting hit with shots that he wouldn't normally get hit with. His activity is not what it used to be. It's not, I mean, like, it's easier to say that now because he's coming off 2 losses. If people keep winning, no one says shit. And that's the hardest part. I like Tony Ferguson. People are like, "Oh, you're just mad because he beat you." No, I don't give 2 shits.
No,
in 10 years,
matter. That's called competition.
Yeah, but in 10 years, I don't give 2 shits. If I run into Tony on the street, I'm gonna be like, "Hey, man, what's going on?" I'm gonna try to be social and be his friend. I give 2 fucking shits about like any of that stuff. So it has nothing to do with him beating me. It has to do with the fact is that he is getting older. He's coming off 2 losses. The UFC, my point was, the UFC will not do him any favors. They won't, when it comes contract time. They can't. And that's the point. And that was my argument. And when we talked about him getting cut, I said, look, let's just be honest. With COVID and all the situations that are going on, they don't have fans. They're going to start cutting the fat. And the fat is the older fighters. He's in that area now, in that gray area of like, are you going to be the guy? I hope he doesn't. We both hope he doesn't. You like him. He's used to train at your gym. You like him as a person.
I love the guy. I think he's great. You know, he's fun to be around. He is crazy. I'll give him that. But that's just his personality. But he's a positive person. Yeah. It's someone that, you know, you gravitate towards the positivity that he has. And, you know, I know his dad and everything. And just a guy you want to see win. But when you look at what's occurring, and look, I will admit, he's fighting the top of the food chain. Yeah. When it comes to the guys that he just lost to. But, and I do think, I'm being honest about this, I think that he's one of those guys that is affected by the no crowd. I think that he got energized and just the crowd and just the energy and the sound of him when he would do stuff, even when he was getting hit, it just made him go. Yeah. And that's not there right now. And so, you know, it may be that, you know, when the crowd kind of comes back, maybe we'll see a different Tony and he'll come back to that energized guy that is able to walk through things. But right now, if you're the UFC, you got to look and say, I got to give the guy another top guy. When I keep him, I can't put him against, you know, my lower guys. That's not going to work for me. That's not going to do promotion any good. And they're looking to see what's best for the promotion. So, you know, it could be, again, that Michael Chandler fight, possibly. I don't know what they're doing with Chandler, you know, but it's a matter of who do you put Tony against? You know, it's a tough one right now.
I don't think Chandler's a good fight for him.
I don't either. And I know there's a speed difference here, and that's really going to cause, you know, I thought the Oliveira fight showed what a faster fighter will do, you know? Yeah. It's just going to be trouble. And if Oliveira out-wrestled Tony, and I was surprised that he out-wrestled him the way he did, because he made it look easy, Chandler will out-wrestle them.
Oh, for sure. No, for sure. There's no doubt that Chandler was going to out-wrestle him, but was Chandler going to be able to sustain, like, try to do damage from the top, because Chandler likes to get busy on the top position of ground and pound? Would he be able to do that without getting caught in a submission or without being cut and things like that? But after what I just saw,
the cut part, that's always available. Yeah. And I love Tony's submission game. I love the way he does his darts. No one has submitted Chandler. He doesn't submit. And I've seen him in deep submissions.
Yeah.
He's got the same mentality as Tony, and that's one of the things that people love about Tony is, you know, that arm bar. Look at that arm bar was nasty. Yeah. That freaking thing, and it was going to go if there was time, because the body can only take so much as far as pounds per square inch of pressure with that elbow going the wrong way. Luckily, the time, you know, came to an end before it happened, but, you know, I've seen, you know, Chandler in the same situations where he has not submitted, and he's just taken what I know is a painful submission and gotten himself out of it. It wasn't the end of the round, so I don't know. It's a tough go for if you're the UFC. Who do you put Tony against?
I kind of think you put Oliveira now against Chandler.
Okay,
and you move Tony down to, I don't know. You have to have him fight maybe someone like a Paul Felder or maybe how about Dos Anjos?
Paul Felder's going to be a hard ass fight.
I'm not saying he's not, but like you can't go anywhere in there.
But that is
Hooker. Hooker.
Well, Felder's coming off of a loss. Tony's coming off of a loss. That's what the UFC likes to do. That they'll take those two guys because they want one of them to come out with a win.
Yeah, and
they can move on from there. So it's a possibility. Felder might be the matchup that they look towards.
Yeah, I could see maybe a Dos Anjos fight, only based on the fact that they're both older.
On Tony?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
No, I'm just simply saying off two guys that are older. That's
based upon names, based upon him getting the win, in the Felder fight, I don't know. There is the possibility, but I would think the Felder fight would be more towards what they like to do.
What's weird is they have Tony. They still have Tony above Conor, and they have Tony above Dan Hooker. Do you think that?
Not anymore.
They have him right now. He only dropped one ranking after losing to Charles Oliveira. Yeah, he's ranked number 4. Look, I like Tony. We both like Tony. I like Tony a lot. I think after I fought him, after almost every fight after that, I've sent him a message saying like, hey, good luck, tonight, or good luck tomorrow night, whatever it is. I always reach out to him and just, let him know, hey, good luck, get it done. That kind of thing. I have nothing personal against him, and I give 2 shits about whether he beat me or not. That's not even the point. The point is that at 37 years old, when I lost to Tony, I was in the same exact position that he's in now. 2 losses, 37. Not sure. Like he didn't have Eddie Bravo with him. He didn't work. He's not working with his normal coaches this fight. Is he? What's going on? Something's not right. Making adjustments, thinking that it's everybody else, or are you just mentally like thinking that something needs to be fixed and you think you can fix it yourself? When in reality, like you were doing fine for all these years with the guys that you had. You can't leave them now at the end. It doesn't make the adjustments. They're not going to fix themselves. And when people see him hitting the speed bag and hitting all these things, those are all great things.
Speed bags don't hit back.
Yeah, and then not only that, but the speed bag, like sure, it's great for shoulder conditioning, but it doesn't do anything else. That's
I look really good on a speed bag.
Do you?
Because it doesn't hit me back.
At 75 years old, I don't know if it's a
at
speed
75
bag
years old.
anymore. I don't know if it's a speed bag anymore.
Yeah, it's more of a tricycle bag.
Yeah, I mean, so when it comes down to it, I want him to have success, but I think in the reality of it, he needs to start taking a look at himself in the mirror and saying like, hey, you still want to do this? If you do, then you need to figure this out, because trying to do everything on your own is not going to work, man. It's not. So yeah, I have nothing negative to say though.
No, and my whole thing, best to everything with Tony. I hope hope he comes out. I hope he comes back with big wins and gets where he wants. Is that going to happen? Only time will tell.
Yeah. What other news is there? Anything else?
Frankie Edgar and Sandhagen for February 6th.
Oh, I know.
Title elimination. What do you think? Tough fight,
man. It is a tough fight for Frankie, and it's like I look at that one. I do think that Frankie can utilize his wrestling to cause Sandhagen some problems, and I think he needs to. I think it needs to be part of his game plan. But man, Corey Sandhagen is good. His stand-up is technically good. He stays long. Frankie's got a lot of movement. It's a tough fight. That's a tough one. Sandhagen's going to be the favorite.
Yeah,
I really believe so.
I'm a Frankie diehard fan, so it's hard for me not to sound very biased right now, but it's going to be a tough fight for him. It is. I think I saw in the last fight, in his last fight against
Munoz.
Was it Mark Munoz?
Pedro Munoz.
There you go, Mark Munoz.
Jesus, first it was Diego Herzog.
Diego.
I love that.
Diego
I am never letting you live that one down. That one was
Diego Herzog.
That's Diego Herzog. That's the greatest name ever.
It's awesome.
I don't think there's anyone in the world that is named Diego Herzog.
Zaire.
But Zaire was good too.
Zaire's a good one.
Zaire.
Yeah, you know that guy Zaire.
Oh. What were we just talking about? We were talking about Frankie.
Frankie Edgar.
Man, Frankie Edgar. And Cody Sanhagen.
Cody, there you go. All
Cody
right. That's good.
With Sanhagen. It's hard. I saw with now you got me Pedro Munoz. With Pedro, I saw Frankie's speed. Like, it's getting slower. He's getting a little bit slower. His wrestling's still there. His transitions are still there. They're just a step behind. And he's still good though, man. Like, he's good all the way around. I don't know if I don't know. It's early in the morning. I don't know if like, if you get once you get to Corey Sanhagen, he wins that fight. He's gonna probably fight for the title next, is what it sounds like. The Peter Yan fight is or if it's Aljamain Sterling, both those guys are extremely hard fights for both Sanhagen and for Frankie. But stylistically though, they're both hard fights for Frankie. Peter's a hard fight based on the fact that he has such good wrestling. It's gonna be hard for him to get the takedown, and being on the feet is gonna be hard also.
That's not a good matchup for Frankie.
Yeah,
right now.
Aljamain Sterling, though, I think as the fight goes on in a 5-round fight, Frankie's got a chance. The first 2 rounds, you're going to have a hard time with him. It's going to be the athleticism, the speed, all those things. I think he's going to give Frankie a hard time. But if he was to fight Sterling for the title in the 3rd, 4th, and 5th round, Frankie, just the grit of him, and just he finds ways to win. That's always been, he has the answer. That's why he's called the answer. He's got the answer. He finds ways to get it done. And the history has shown, like with him with the Gray Maynard fights and this night, like he finds ways to get it done when in a 5-round fight. He'd have a hard time with Aljamain Sterling in the first 2 rounds, but I think he would get it done in a 5-round fight against Aljamain Sterling. Peter Yan, hard fight. I'd like to say there's a way to beat him. I don't know. There's only one person who's been able to beat him.
Yep.
And we saw how good that guy was just the other day. So it's hard, man. That's gonna be a tough fight. So I want him to win. I want him to get to that title shot, give him one more crack. I wanted him to win another title. He was a 55-pound champ, beating BJ Penn. And then he's fought a couple times for the 45-pound title, but getting it at 35. How dope would that have been? 45. He's the only guy that could have done it. Realistically, like, I think 3 weight classes.
No.
Who else?
Cejudo.
Yeah, he can, but he's not. He's retired.
Well, yeah, he's not retired.
Yeah, I mean, like, I would love to see him in.
He's stretching his legs.
Yeah, I'd like to see him in Volkanovski. What do you think?
So would I.
You think that's going to happen? I don't think it's ever going to happen.
I don't know. I don't even think it's part of the picture right now. I think they've got the Volkanovski Ortega fight that they know is going to occur and stuff, and you've got Holloway. I think the next actual show for the UFC, which is supposed to be in Fight Island, and I've heard rumblings that maybe it won't be, but we'll find out. Who knows? But it's supposed to be Holloway against Calvin Kattar, and that is a great matchup. Yes, that's going to be a barn burner.
Max Holloway, Calvin Kattar, and then I think Ortega's going to beat Max, or not Max. I think Ortega's going to beat
Volkanovski.
Yep.
Yeah, well, Volkanovski's anybody that fights Ortega right now they're in a pickle. You got to pick what poison is there, and I don't think on the ground Volkanovski is going to do well with Ortega. He's got to be in the top position. If he ends up underneath him, he's in deep shit.
Yeah.
But even in the top position, Brian sets up submissions so well, and he's got to hurt Brian.
Yeah.
He's got to hurt him bad, and he can do it. But the stand-up game, that's his key to victory, in my opinion.
Well, I think that the 45-pound weight class is it's kind of mixed up right now because you have Zaire,
which is good.
Zaire's
which is
out
good
for
though.
6 months. Zaire's out for 6 months. Zabit, what's going on? Is he?
I don't know. Well, we saw him, but
yeah, we saw him at the last Bellator show with Magomedov. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, like, I think it's a mix. I'd like to see Henry slide in there, but I really only want to see him fight Volkanovski. I don't really care to see him fight Ortega or Max Holloway or Zabit or any of those guys. I wouldn't mind watching them fight Zabit. But just the length, I guess the size of Max and Brian Ortega and Zabit, like the length and the reach, it doesn't interest me as much as watching two little bowling balls, like Volkanovski and Henry Cejudo get after it. Like, to me, that would make for a fun fight because the two of them are so small and compact.
Well, it also is, Volkanovski's got a wrestling base for his background, and then has turned into this, striker that has got power, and he, comes inside and does his thing. Cejudo's the same thing.
Yeah.
It's a good just matchup to see. I still think that Cejudo's wrestling will be the difference in that fight, because no matter what, you can't say that Volkanovski's wrestling can match up. It can't. It just can't. It does. It's just on a different level.
Okay, so let's do this. I think I want to try to. Who will be the 155-pound champion in the UFC next year? If you were going to take the top 10 guys now, who do you think at the end of next year who's going to be the champion?
Well, if Khabib fights again, he's the champion, because he's still the champion right now. And if he fights again, he's going to win the championship. So I would say Khabib, but we'll say that he's out. He's not going to fight. So now it's an open title, and you have Conor and Dustin, and then you have Oliveira, and who am I missing?
Hooker.
That's right at the top there. Dan Hooker.
You got Chandler.
Gaethje, Chandler.
Paul Felder.
Yeah. It's going to be the winner of, Poirier and McGregor is going to be the guy you're looking at holding that title.
No, but I'm saying by the end of next year, who do you think?
Yeah, but at the end of the next year, you're looking, okay, so they would fight one more time. If you take Dustin Poirier and you put him against Dan Hooker, who wins? Well, I would say Poirier. He just beat him, right? So then you take Poirier and you put him against Oliveira. Who wins? I'm going to think Poirier.
You think so?
I think it's close.
Mm-hmm.
It's a tough fight. I'm not saying that Oliveira can't beat him, but I'm going to probably say, and it's power-wise, I think Dustin's got more pop on his shots, and that can cause Oliveira some problems. Ground game-wise, they're both good. I think Oliveira's more dynamic with his submissions, comes up in crazier positions where he's able to, do things with submissions, but it's a close fight, but I'd probably go with Poirier.
Yeah. So
then I go to Felder. Poirier. I go to Chandler. Now becomes a question of styles, and there's the possibility Chandler could beat Poirier, but there's definitely the shot that Poirier beats Chandler.
Mm-hmm. So
then I go to, we'll say McGregor wins it. All right. Do I see Dan Hooker beating McGregor? I don't. Okay. And then I go to Oliveira beating McGregor. I don't.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. And I could be wrong, but I think McGregor wins that one. Then I go to Chandler and McGregor. I don't. I think McGregor wins it. I think Chandler would have a hard time getting him to the ground. He's going to eat a lot of shots and he takes damage. That's matchup wise. The way Conor throws things, I think that's going to be a tough fight. So I'm looking, and those are the two guys that I say, which one's going to be at the end of the year. I think it's Conor. How's that?
I think so. I think you're kind of in the right area there.
Okay. Wow.
I think you're in the right area.
I went all through that for you to go, I think you're in the right area.
The dark horse, I really feel like the dark horse in this whole thing is not knowing where Chandler place is in this place. That's the hard part now, to see where he's going to end up, who he's going to fight, how well he does against that fighter, and who they're going to put him against for his first fight. I think now, after the dominant performance by Oliveira, it seems like he's getting better and better every time.
If you're Oliveira, do you want to take that fight?
I don't think you really have a choice. You're in the UFC. They're gonna.
Yeah, well, that's true.
That's the point.
That could be. You might not have a choice.
Yeah, I really believe that now that he's ranked number 3, and you have, outside of fighting Justin Gaethje, which I think is a good fight for Chandler. I think Chandler fighting Justin Gaethje, showing the wrestling, I think that's a good fight for Chandler.
So do I.
I think he has a hard time with Oliveira. I think he can wrestle him. He can do all those things, but Charles is good on the ground. I mean, we saw that against Tony. We've seen it several times. He's got the most submissions, I think, in the UFC, correct?
He'd be up there.
Yeah, he's up there. I think he's got the most submissions in the UFC. I mean, he's so damn good on the ground. And I'm not saying, like you said, Chandler's never been submitted, but it doesn't mean it can't happen.
No,
he'll fight out all those positions. But when you have someone who's as good and technical as Charles Oliveira is on the ground, it's going to make for a hard fight for Michael Chandler on top. And one thing Chandler does is he gets tired is if he's being forced to work. We've seen it with the Brent Primus fight. We've seen it with some other fights as well. He tends to get tired if you're making him work. Even when he's on top, he tends to get tired. And if you're staying active and busy from the bottom, he's going to get tired. You know, and on the feet, he just throws with so much power and speed and that he tends to get tired on the feet. And on the feet, Oliveira being as long and lanky as he is, he's going to eat him up. He'll eat Chandler up on the feet as Chandler gets tired. You know, as this is a 5-round fight, which I would imagine it's going to be a 5-round fight. You're not paying Michael Chandler that amount of money to be a fucking prelim fight. So it's going to be a main event probably, which will be a 5-round fight.
Should be.
Yeah, it's going to be hard. I think Chandler's the dark horse. I think Charles Oliveira now also too has kind of put himself in that position of like, okay, we didn't see you coming last year. You know, we didn't put you in this position. Last year, I didn't see him being in the top 3. You know, and now here he is at number 3. So when I look at this, I think Gaethje's going to always be in that mix, but I think people now, I think after seeing how easily Khabib was able to dominate the wrestling and how he took him down, that I think people are going to try to wrestle him more. They're going to try to wrestle Justin Gaethje more. And we're going to see what happens. And submission-wise, he just showed that he has no submissions. Like, he has no submission defense. He has no submissions. Yeah, no defense. Nothing. And everyone I had talked before this, too, I talked before the Khabib fight, people were hitting me up and saying, like, yeah, I've trained with Justin. That he hasn't trained any jiu-jitsu. None. Yeah. Like, very rarely works his wrestling. He's a good wrestler. But he just mitts, kickboxing, that's it. Like, he just likes to spar. And I'm like, okay. And they're like, no jiu-jitsu. No jiu-jitsu class. He's like, not even a white belt class. Like, nothing. And I'm like, all right. So that kind of puts you in the position of like guys that can wrestle, like Michael Chandler. If he gets you down, I think he's gonna dominate that fight.
He'll maul you.
Yeah, he'll maul you. He'll maul you for sure. I would say Conor will probably be the champion based on the fact that he's the moneymaker. And the UFC, if Khabib's not gonna be there, they need someone to take his place that can bring in revenue. And it's gonna be Conor McGregor. And that's a business decision. That has nothing to do with whether he can. I think you are correct though, and I've said this. Outside of Khabib, I think Conor beats all of them. I think he's the best fighter out of all of them. It does make it interesting. I'm excited to see the Poirier fight between him and Conor again, to see how they have changed since then. I think Poirier is now more mature. He's not going to let anything Conor says and does will not get under his skin. He will fight a smarter fight. Yep. I just don't know if it's going to be enough. Yeah. No, sorry. I just don't know if it's going to be enough. You know, I don't. You're just talking levels of athleticism and technique, and Dustin's fabulous. He's a phenomenal fighter. I just think Conor's a step above on the feet, and in the wrestling area, I don't think Dustin wants to waste too much energy. I think Dustin has the edge for sure on the grappling. I don't think the
grappling, I would give Dustin, but to get it to the ground,
does he want to waste that amount of energy to get it there? I don't know.
Rough.
Yeah, it's gonna be hard for him. So, I think Dan Hooker is gonna probably make a splash. He may be up in that talk and that. In there, but I don't know if he'll be champion at the end of the year. But I think it's going to be Conor McGregor at the end of the year because business decision. But I think Dustin, Charles Oliveira, and Chandler are going to be in that conversation by the end of next year.
Yeah,
by the end.
I agree.
All right, my man. Well, we did the 55s. What do you think? 70. I think Gilbert Burns beats Usman.
That's the question.
I think Gilbert Burns beats him.
If Gilbert doesn't beat him, I don't think anyone beats him. I give Gilbert he's the one guy, because people can sit there and say Colby. I don't think Colby beats Usman now.
Yeah, I don't think Colby's gotten any better. He sure, you've had conditioning, you have cardio, you have wrestling, but you didn't use any of your wrestling against Usman. You know, and not only that, you got tore up on the feet. And I like Colby as a fighter, but
so do I.
I think he hasn't evolved at all since he's been in the UFC. He hasn't evolved. He's just straight wrestling, straight cardio, conditioning, workhorse. I get that. But
he's a workhorse.
Usman's already figured that out. He knows how to beat you now. and he's figured that out. He's got his conditioning under wraps. Guys that are, and then the other thing as well, can Colby beat Gilbert Burns? I don't think he can beat him. I think if he tries to take Gilbert down, Gilbert's going to sub him.
No, he's not going to.
Yeah.
I just don't. I don't.
And
think
he can't stand with him. I don't think he can stand with him either. I think Gilbert can out.
He can stand with him. The big difference is I think Gilbert's got more power.
Yeah.
So it's
Gilbert's
something
faster also.
Yeah.
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 Speed kills.
Gilbert's a lot bigger than people think.
Oh,
too.
he's huge. He's fucking huge, man. People don't realize how damn big that guy is. He is so
really
damn big.
His ground game is scary good.
Yeah.
Scary good.
Yeah.
And it's I don't know. It's a tough one. I can see Gilbert can definitely submit Usman if the fight ends up on the ground. I think in the stand up it's pretty close.
Where do you
power-wise,
stand? Where do you stand in this whole thing with Usman going out to Colorado to train there because they were all at the same camp? Like, where does that leave you? Like what does that tell you about the camp? Is Usman going to come back after? It's kind of a weird feeling, right? Like a weird vibe.
Well, see, here's the whole thing. Usman is not a coach.
Yeah.
There. Gilbert Burns is. So Gilbert's not going anywhere.
Yeah, but all the guys the guys that Usman was training with they're not there anymore. I mean,
that's why he went to Elevation.
It's got to be rough, man. That's as the owner of the gym, Henry Hoof, and those guys, it's got to be a hard decision to make. Like when you guys sat down and said, "Okay, you guys are gonna fight. All right, who's leaving?" Like, what the fuck?
Come on, no. If you think about it, and if you're Henry, I know this is not what you did, Henry, but you're looking, you're going, all right, I know both guys. Which guy do I think is going to win the fight? Yeah, you're going to go. All right, you're going to go out.
Oh man,
sorry.
No, I think with Henry, it's like, hey, I can't teach jiu-jitsu, so you need to stay here.
He's got a business he's got to run, and he's got a coach. That's why I said Gilbert's not going anywhere. He teaches class.
Damn it, that's rough though. That's rough. But think about all the guys though that they train with, that Usman used to train with, and then those guys now are helping Gilbert get ready for the fight. It's an awkward feeling. It's got to be an awkward feeling.
Completely. But that's the fight game.
Yeah.
That's why I say, when people say, "Oh, you should never go," it's like you should go everywhere you can to learn. Yeah. I just saw that. I want to say James Gallagher and
he's in Kansas City, isn't he?
Yeah, and Big Daddy Kiefer, I think, was there with a couple of guys from Ireland. SBG went over to Glory, and we're training with James Krause and his guy. And I told you, people talked all the time. I was asked the question, all right, if you're going to take one fighter and that was going to be your coach, I said James Krause. He's outstanding. Yes, he's a competitive fighter now, but he's an outstanding coach. And when he's done fighting, he's just going to be even that much better because he has all that time that he still has to center on his career that he can give to everyone else. He's a damn evil scientist when it comes to breaking fights down now, and he's great at it. And so those guys went there. I guess they loved it, and that's good. And you don't hear anything from John Kavanaugh about, oh, you shouldn't go there. No, go.
No, yeah.
If whatever you learn, bring it back.
Yeah,
that's the whole thing, man. So,
yep. All right, guys. Well, hey, go to mybookie.com or mybookie.ag. Use the promo code WayneIn, and they will give you 50% of your initial deposit. So if you put in $100, they'll give you another $50. So do that for us, please, and use the promo code WayneIn at mybookie.ag.
And if you had listened to us, you would have heard that we had said Stephen Wonderboy Thompson being the underdog in that fight, which I thought was kind of crazy, but you would have won some money with my bookie because you would have actually gotten extra money back because to get $100, you put $100 down. I think it was $120 you got back. Pretty good.
But if you also listen to us, you would have lost money on the Marlon Moraes fight. So
maybe true. Maybe true.
No, it's horrible. We're horrible. This is why I don't really bet. So bad. Oh man. Great.
You bet for entertainment. If you're gonna do it as entertainment, don't do it to win money.
Yes.
If you win, great. But Don't do it. If you need the money, don't bet it.
And don't bet on people that you know because your emotions get involved.
Oh, hello, Josh Thompson.
Yes. Also, go to what's our t-shirt site?
ProWrestlingTees.com. Go there. Go to the weighing in. Look at that photo. Hit that photo, and a plethora of incredibly good-looking shirts will come up. One that kind of looks like that will come up, and choose one of those. Use the promo code FIGHT, F-I-G-H-T, and you will get 20% off on that t-shirt.
And that is good until New Year's. So get that done before Christmas or before the New Year's.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, hey, thank you guys so much. Sorry we had the delay on this show because yesterday I was drinking all day and John was. We got done with the fights and John's like, let's film tomorrow.
Hold it. Well, you know what? We actually waited for the Canelo fight. We watched the Canelo fight, and then we didn't talk about it because
Josh drank too much.
It sucked.
It was horrible.
Oh, man.
It was so bad.
It was not really that good.
Do you get the vibe, though, that he's just kind of getting through these fights to make his money and then he's going to move on?
I get the vibe that he knows, within the first round, oh, this guy can't hurt me. And he just does what he needs to do to, get his win. It's not, he's doing what he learned from Floyd Mayweather. It's like, hey, you don't have to freaking, stick your chin out there. And his defensive fighting is good. How many times did let's be honest, how many times did Caleb Smith hit him? Not a lot, and not real hard with any of them.
No.
So
he's good.
You're getting paid that kind of money not to get hit and to put a whooping on your opponent, even though you didn't put him down. Yeah, you didn't put him down. He definitely took some hard shots. Canelo he can swat.
No.
His hands are fast and they're powerful, and he's tight with everything he does. And he just marches you down. I mean, he had to freaking, walk forward a good 2 miles in that fight as far as how much forward movement he had. It's just,
I just want to hurry up and get to the Triple G fight, like with him.
No. See, I think he eats Triple G up this time.
I think he does too. Triple G's older now. What is
Gennady is not the same fighter.
He's what, 36, 37?
30. Oh, I think he's older than that.
Yeah.
Gian, how old is Triple G? Find it for us.
All right.
I'm going to say he's 38, almost 39.
He's somewhere in there, right? Yeah.
And I love Gennady. He's a great guy, man. Just an incredible fighter, but
38.
38.
Thank you very much.
Wow.
Yeah. See, he's getting up there, man. And it's even his last performance. You look and you go, he's getting hit a lot, and he's got a great chin, but if he fights Canelo again, Canelo wins.
Yeah. Canelo's young. What is he? Canelo's like not even 30 yet.
Canelo ain't nothing.
He's like 28.
He's been fighting forever.
Yeah. All right. Well, hey, hope you guys enjoyed the show. And we're going to do a Q&A this week for the midweek show because there's not really much to talk about.
No, there's no fights coming up really. So what we can talk about is current news and situations of what we think will happen. Yeah. Which means we'll be wrong.
Yeah. Just like John's betting odds.
Yep.
All right, guys. Well, hey, we got one more thing to say. Big John, what do you got?
The only thing I have to say is Merry Christmas to everyone. I hope you guys have a great Christmas, and we will see you.